Hi fellow crocheters, it's Janet B with Crochet Patterns for Beginners and Barb's Daughter Designs on Etsy. Thanks so much for purchasing my Devon pullover pattern. And what we're going to do right now is we're just going to go over this technique for adding a border. And on this particular baby sweater, we're going to add a border around the hem of the waist and the sleeves. And I'm going to show you how to do this. It's really cool. It actually looks like a knitted border, so that's what I really like about it. What you want to do is you want to join your yarn at a side seam. And whatever side seam you want, that's fine. It works. Whatever works for you. And we're going to chain according to the pattern. This is for a excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is for a newborn size to 3 months. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So I chain 6 according to the pattern. Now I'm going to go back and do a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. I'm just getting the first part going, is always the fun part here. And through the rest down. So that's going to give me 5 single crochets. Right into it. Okay. All right, so I chained 6 and now I'm working back toward the sweater, and that is 5 single crochets. So our border will consist of 5 single crochets around. Now, this is the stitch that I just joined right here. So I want to go into the next stitch, and this is the only part that you really have to really look at, and do a slip stitch. And then in the next stitch, do another slip stitch. Okay, my yarn split, sorry about that. Slip stitch. So it's single crochet back, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. Do not chain, just turn. Okay, now you're going to skip those 2 stitches and you're going to single crochet into the 5 stitches that we just did. So let's look at this carefully. Here's a slip stitch here. It's right on our hook. Here's another slip stitch here, and if you get confused, just count 5 back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you're first learning this technique, that's the best way to do it. So we're going to single crochet into the back loop of those 5 single crochets that we just did. See, we're starting to form our ridge already. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're just going to you can work out your own style in doing this. This is how I turn. It's just, you always want to have the right side front of the work in front of you to make this successful and to make it look nice and neat. So let's do this again. So we've chained 1, so now we have to go back in 5 according to our pattern into the back loops of those single crochets that we just started with. Here we go. We're almost done. Now this is where you care, and I always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just to make sure I've done it properly. Okay, now look at your work, and this is the stitch that we were just in. So we don't want to go back into that stitch. We want to slip stitch into the next stitch and slip stitch, slips, and never go into this one loop because you'll have a hole. So I just always make sure that I go into 2 loops, and it's always a little tricky on the bottom because this was our beginning chain, but you can see the stitches right here, so we haven't skipped any. We're in the stitches, but we just want to make sure that we're making our border nice and neat. Okay, now we're going to flip the work. Okay, and back here we're going to skip those 2 slip stitches, and we're going to work a back loop single crochet into those 5 stitches that we started out with. So we're skipping this one, and we're skipping this one, and we're going into this one, and we can always double check by counting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're right where we should be. And we're just going to back loop, single crochet, excuse me, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, chain 1, and we're going to do this one more time so everybody gets it. Like I said, it's not that difficult, but once you learn this technique, it is so nice. It just creates a nice finished border. And what I like about doing it this way is that it pulls in the hem of your garment too, and it just kind of makes everything all nice and neat, and it actually looks like this hook or this size stitch is just slightly smaller than the stitches that you've done in the main stitch, and that's what's really great about this. So let's go into the back loop again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all right. Give ourselves a little yarn and make sure that we don't go into that stitch that we just worked in. We're going into the next one, and we're going to slip, stitch, and then do it again, slip, stitch. Okay, I'm going to turn our work. Excuse me. There we go. Okay. Pull that so that so your loop is not like really super tight, but you want it to be consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to skip and make sure I'm in the right one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's right. So I'm skipping 2. And I'm going to go into the back loop here, this stitch, and I don't like that, so I'm going to go back in here and pull this a little bit tauter. I don't want it to be, you don't want it to be so tight that you have trouble working your stitches, but at the same point in time, you want it to be, and I'm sorry, my yarn should have been in behind me. That was the problem. So make sure that the yarn is always in behind you, and skip 1, 2, and then go into this stitch here. 1, the back loop, 2 single, 3 single, 4 single, 5 single, chain 1. Okay, we'll do one more time just to make sure. Okay, always make sure that your yarn is in the back, and I should have covered that before, but at least I've got it now so you guys know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we worked into this stitch, so we don't want to go back into that again. Going to slip stitch and slip stitch. Turning our work, making sure our yarn, and there is a little wrap over there, and that's okay. But we just want to make sure that our yarn is always in the back. Okay, one more time. Skip 2, back loop single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1. Okay, and see how that's turning out? Isn't that nice? It's just really professional looking, and when it all comes together and you bring it around to your seam, you'll see just how nice it looks. Okay, again, and also too, I'm just going to pull this to talk about the sleeve hems. You don't want to do the same thing on the sleeve hems. You start, you join the yarn at the seam, and then you just chain your how many ever stitches on the sleeve hems. I believe there's one less stitch, but you chain whatever the pattern tells you to chain, and then you go back in, and it's always one less. So if you chain 6, it's 5. If you chain 5, it's 4, etc. You know that. And you just go in, you do your back loop single crochet, and you slip stitch 2 stitches, then you turn, and then you go back and you back loop crochet your stitch count, and then you do a chain and then go back. It's very repetitive, but again, it's very worth it to get a nice professional hem. So you can check out all of our patterns that we have. This is a baby pattern. So we also have a website with easy and beginner crochet patterns for babies, and that's myhandmadebaby.com. So you can purchase this pattern, the Devon, either on our website, crochetpatternsforbeginners.com, or you can purchase it on myhandmadebaby.com. Once again, thank you so much for stopping by, and happy crocheting!